Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the podcast with me, your host, Tom Russ. Today, absolutely delighted to be joined by professional boxer, Juliette Horwood. How are you?
Yeah, hi, thanks for having me on. I am good, thank you. Yeah, all good.
You're very welcome, and it's a pleasure. Firstly, congratulations. You're now a professional boxer, 1-0. So how is life as a professional?
It's good. It's tough. I'm not going to say it's easy. If it was easy, everyone would do it. And it's definitely been a culture shock how much you have to put into it. But I'm enjoying it. I like a challenge and I like to be kept busy. So I'm definitely kept busy with all the training that's expected of you. But it's nice. It's nice to do it. I like training, and it's good to learn.
Yes, it's crazy because we were just talking before we started the recording that, out of the ring, you said yourself, you once you sort of get to know people, warm up, you're a lot more open, which is sort of mad to think considering, the job you do, your sort of job is to get in there and potentially sort of knock people unconscious.
Yeah, as we were saying, me outside the ring and me in the ring when that bell goes are two completely different people. I'm normally quite a shy person, and boxing's brought the confidence out of me more. But yeah, I'm definitely the person to sort of sit in the corner, keep themselves to themselves, and be quite quiet. But yeah, once that bell goes and I'm in the ring, I'm gonna try and take your head off.
So for people that have known you for a long time, family, friends, and I suppose people you meet for the first time as well, when you tell them that, you are a pro boxer, what's the sort of response you get considering what you are like out of the ring?
It's normally a shock. People are normally like, really? I'm like, yeah, believe it or not, I am. Or sometimes it's not a shock because I have to explain it with all the black eyes at work. When I have a black eye from sparring, I'm like, don't worry, it's okay, I'm a boxer. And they're like, oh, that makes more sense. But well, yeah, when I told people I was going to start boxing, they sort of said, really? I don't know if you'd be up to it, but I'm proving people wrong.
And how was your debut?
It was good. Game plan didn't really go to game plan. I lost my head and just went for it. It was a fight and a half. I probably didn't showcase the skills I wanted to showcase as much as I would have liked. It was a fast-paced, like hell for leather 4 rounds. It was tough. And my opponent, she was game. Like she came to win that fight. It was no easy like walkover debut. But I enjoyed that, to be fair. I feel like I achieved more having a hard debut rather than having an easy debut. And I can learn from it.
Yeah, considering as well, I think to my understanding that you only had 4 amateur fights. So, jumping in the pro ranks for your first one as well, it's pretty to be expected. Like you say as well, when someone's coming to win, you don't always get that. But when someone is coming to win, I suppose sometimes technique, game plan can go out of the window, but you just sort of go into sort of street mode, if you like.
Yeah, it was exactly like that. It was sort of like street fight. She was a come forward pressure fighter. And instead of me using footwork to move out the way, I just stood there and went toe to toe with her and came off the better, luckily. But yeah, my coach sort of said to me, like, he tried to sort of give me instructions in the corner, but he was like, I've lost you. My head was just like, kill, go for it, rather than think and box properly. But yeah, like you say, I only had 4 amateur fights, so it was all a learning curve. So I'm learning on the job as I go, really. The more fights I have, hopefully the more experience I get and the more I relax into it during the rounds.
So going forward, I believe your next fight is on the 12th of March.
Yeah.
What should people expect? I know, again, your first one was a little bit of a scrap more than a controlled performance, but going forward, what should people expect when they come and see you fight?
Expect hopefully more boxing skill on show. But I'm an aggressive fighter. I don't like to sit on the back foot and wait for you to come to me. Like, I am aggressive. I will go forward and I will chase those punches. And I like to pressure people. So I'm hoping it'll still be a good show for everyone to watch. Like, there'll be lots of punches thrown. and hopefully a bit more boxing skill thrown into it, better defenses. But yeah, I'm an aggressive person in the ring. I'm not going to sit back and wait and counter. I'm going to come forward and I'm going to fight.
It sounds like it should be a great night of boxing as well. We had Jack Hughes on the channel last night. He's fighting for the Southern Area title against Paul Roberts. They were both on together actually, but they were very respectful. I was hoping for some fireworks. But yeah, no, it sounds like a great card. But just going back a bit then, you only had 4 amateur fights. What was your route into boxing? Because I believe you've done a bit of rugby before as well.
Yeah, so I used to play rugby and I came down the boxing club and just thought, oh, I just want to give it a go and see what it's like. They did a women's only fitters class at the time. So I went along to that and just did a bit of fitness. And then Andy said to me, like, do you want to box? I was like, I'll give it a go. So started doing a little bit of training, learning the ropes, but I was still playing rugby at the same time. And Andy sort of said to me, you're not doing both, because I was always injured from rugby. I'd always come in, but oh, I've hurt this, I've hurt that. So I had to make a decision, and I picked boxing in the end after another rugby injury. I just thought I can't keep doing that. So I switched to boxing and committed full time to the amateurs. And I haven't looked back. Really enjoyed it. And it's been easy to sort of train down the club because everyone's been so welcoming, and especially like the guys down there. They've really helped me and supported me, and like they're always teaching me things. So it's been good. And then over lockdown, must have been 20, I guess it was last year before. At some point during lockdown, I was speaking to Andy. So obviously I couldn't go down the gym and train. He sort of asked me if I thought about turning pro, because I lost so much time over COVID to do the amateurs and I'm not getting any younger. I thought, yeah, if he thinks I've got what it takes, let's give it a go and see what happens.
Yeah, I suppose as well, playing rugby previously must have been a massive help going into such an aggressive sport. But it's funny how it works out as well, because we speak to so many people that, you hear a lot of people say, oh, I always want to be a boxer, I want to be a world champion from an early age. But a lot of people just sort of fall into it. We had Mark Little on the channel. He was like 24 stone at 24 years old, got into the gym, had a natural ability for boxing, and then before you know it, had a few amateur fights and now is a pro, and also fighting for the Southern Area title, not on your night, but a couple of weeks after. So it's funny how it all works out.
Yeah, definitely. Obviously, some people start off young, like if their family are into boxing, but a lot of people get into boxing just for fitness to start with. They want to lose some weight or try something different, and then realize that they actually really like it, and then decide to take it more seriously. I think it's one of those sports where you get hooked on it. Once you've done it a little bit and you realize the thrill you get from it and like the adrenaline rush from all the training, sort of you keep going back for more. That's what happened to me anyway, and I think it happens to a lot of people.
Yeah, I'm starting to find a theme. Obviously, rugby, quite an aggressive sport. Boxing now for you, but it's obviously hard as well, because fighting on the small hall shows. I suppose now you've got the added pressure of selling tickets. You've got to train, and I imagine you've got to fit working around that as well. Doing things like this, I know some people love this side of boxing. They get to go on channels and sort of talk about the story and look to get sort of as much exposure as possible. How do you find that and managing everything now?
It's tough, like really tough, and it's trying to juggle everything is what I really struggle with. So I work in central London and I live in Buckinghamshire, so it's a hour-and-a-half journey into work for me. So that's 3 hours a day traveling. So that's a lot of time, and then training before work, training after work, and then trying to find time to see like family and friends, and my poor boyfriend puts up with me never being around or always being battered and bruised. So it's hard trying to juggle it and then get yourself out there as well, because a lot of promoting yourself relies on social media now. So having the time to post things, it's tough. But I like coming on channels and speaking to people like you. It's nice to speak to different people. And like you say, like share my story and tell people what it's like, especially now women's boxing's becoming more popular and it's getting bigger. It's nice to sort of get yourself out there and make yourself known, but it is tough, especially with ticket sales. Like I said, I'm quite a shy person, so like constantly being like, hey, buy my tickets. It's tough. That's the bit I need to get better at.
How are you adapting to that? Because again, you know, it is hard when, again, you know, you've got a 3-hour commute, you're training, you're working, and you're trying to fit time in for friends, family, relationships, and then you've got to think about, you know, your social media platforms to sell the tickets. Do you enjoy that sort of side of it, or are you still sort of getting your head around that and getting more comfortable doing that side of things?
I'm still getting my head around it, to be honest. Luckily, my coach Andy, when we're training, he does a lot of stuff on his Instagram, so I can repost what he does. But it's hard trying to think of content to post that people want to see rather than the same thing in the gym every day. It's hard to keep people engaged, or people think, oh, it's just her doing her boxing again. And yeah, it's hard to promote myself in that way and be pushy almost, like always like, look at me doing this, I'm doing this, like come and support me. Yeah, it's a bit I need to definitely focus on. And I've been really quiet on social media lately just because I find myself comparing me to people a lot. It just messes with my head a bit. So I sort of try and stay off social media a bit and just focus on me and try and chill out a bit when I'm at home. But obviously that's not conducive to promoting yourself. So it's a fine balance trying to find what works.
Well, when you say you sort of find yourself comparing yourself to other people, like in what sort of respect?
Just watching other people boxing, other people training, like even people who do different types of training, like people who are bodybuilding. I'm like, oh, look at how heavy she's lifting that way. Why can't I lift that way? I should be lifting that heavy. I'm like, no, I don't need to lift that heavy. It's always compare myself. I think I'm a competitive person, and I put a lot of pressure on myself as well to be the best. So I compare myself to other people, other female fighters who have got more experience. I'm like, oh, look at what they're doing. I should be doing that. Or look what they're doing. I should be doing that. Or they're much better than me. So I try to stay away from it a bit and just focus on what I'm doing and know that I'm doing the right thing. It's working, rather than worrying about what other people are doing so much.
It is hard though, because I know exactly what you mean. You go on there, everyone's got a beach body, you know, 365 days of the year. Every bloke's got a 12 pack on there. Every lady's got everything going. And you do sometimes sort of find yourself falling into that world and just comparing. I think it's good just to sometimes just focus on what you're doing. But I think naturally as well, we always look at people that are, you know, are doing sort of better things or in better places. We sometimes, I suppose, we've just got to think, actually, you know, like yourself, you know, you're professional, 1-0, you only had 4 amateur fights. You're fighting next month at York Hall, an iconic venue in British boxing. So for yourself, you know, you should be proud. You're obviously doing really well, but I totally understand what you're saying.
Yeah, I do. Yeah, it's just one of those things, really. I think, especially in the age we're in, where everything's social media and, like you say, like beach bodies all the time. I'm like looking at this woman's abs. I'm like, oh my god, I want abs like that. I'm like, why don't I have abs like that? I train so much. Where are my abs? But I can't compare myself. I'm not her. She's not me. I can do things she can't do. Yeah, and it's just focusing on yourself, which is hard.
100%. Yeah, there won't be any pictures of me with my top off anytime soon. But I was going to say to you, you touched on it earlier. Women's boxing at the moment is absolutely flying. You know, women are headlining shows. You've got Katy Taylor sort of flying the flag. I think it'd be, you know, sort of fair to say that it's still a male-dominated sport. But something I wanted to ask you, for anyone out there that wants to get into boxing, that are a little bit sort of on the fence about it, what advice would you give? Because, you know, you've been there, you've done it. I don't know if you were particularly nervous before you started boxing, or maybe there was doubters that, you know, sort of doubted your ability before you turned over. What would you say to people that want to get into the sport?
I was definitely nervous. I was absolutely cacking myself before I stepped foot into the boxing gym, not knowing what to expect. It's easier to say just go and do it than like to actually step foot in the gym. But what I found with most boxing gyms that I've seen, I mean, I've only ever trained in the gym I'm at, but when people have come to spar or when we've been to other gyms, everyone is so welcoming, regardless of the fact whether I'm female or male. I'm treated like one of the lads, whether that's how I want to be treated or not. I'm treated equally, which is good. And everyone's been so welcoming. Like the boys put up with me moaning all the time and be like, oh, I can't do that. And they always help me. They help me learn so much. I think it's definitely worth giving it a go. If you don't like it, then don't go back. It's daunting to go into the gym, especially when it's such a male dominated place. But what I found is a lot of people are really welcoming to you as a female. I don't know if it's because they feel sorry for you because you're the only female in the class a lot of the time. But the way they treat you, you forget that you're the only female in the class and you just get stuck in. They don't see it really that way. That's what I found.
Yeah, we
definitely give it a go.
Yeah, we find, from speaking to boxers that, at most gyms, all egos are left at the door. People are, treated equally. It's an environment where everyone can just, crack on. And for such a brutal sport, there's some really good people in boxing. So do you predominantly spar men before fights, or is it sort of a mixture, or is sparring other women quite hard to come by?
I mainly spar the boys. So the Frimpong twins that are fighting, I spar them quite a lot. They're really good and they do a lot of technical sparring with me, and sort of help me learn my defenses and my footwork. And then, it's mainly boys. It's harder to come by females, but I don't mind sparring. I prefer sparring the boys, to be honest, because my thoughts are if I can take a punch off them, I can hopefully take a punch off a girl, because sometimes they don't hold back. They forget and they're like, oh, sorry. I'm like, it's all right. We don't really go looking for many females at the moment, just because the male pros in the gym are at a better level than what I'm at. So I'm learning off them all the time. I've had a few females that have come down and I've sparred them, and it's good to just sort of get the level of where I'm at. But I spar boys a lot. It doesn't really bother me, to be honest.
I think as well, logistically, it can be quite taxing going around looking for sparring. So if you've got people in your own stable that you can spar, I suppose that makes things easier for you as well.
Yeah, definitely. If we can just all spar in the gym, we can all spar on the same day at the same time. It makes it a lot easier. And like you say, it's less taxing trying to travel around the country, trying to find girls to spar, trying to do it in the evenings or at the weekends. So yeah, it logistically at the moment, it works well, me sparring the boys down the gym. There's enough people for me to spar of different levels. And I'm always learning from them. So at the moment, yeah.
So looking forward as well, I know your short-term goal, I imagine, is just to go out on the 12th of March and, become 2-0 professional fighter. But if we're talking again in 12 months' time, where would you like to see yourself?
I'm hoping within the next year, if things go on the right trajectory, to be fighting for a Southern Area belt. That's something me and my coach have spoken about. That's our aim within the next 12 months, is try and fight for a Southern Area belt. So that's where I'd like to go, and then see how that goes, and then fight for the belts and just sort of work my way up. I'm not in any hurry to fast track my career. I need to learn while I'm going. So 12 months Southern Area, and then see where we go, English, British, and go from there.
And how far can you go in the sport?
Now that question. It would be nice to be world champion. I mean, who doesn't want to be a world champion in the sport that they're doing when they're professional? My coach thinks I could do it if I keep, doing well and keep winning. But we'll see. Get a British belt would be nice, because that's a nice belt. That's the one that everyone wants, really. And then, I don't see why I couldn't. be world champion if I keep improving. I mean, I guess I shouldn't put like a limit on myself, but I'm just going to take it step by step.
It's difficult though, isn't it? Because, you know, you've got to keep your feet on the ground, I suppose, as well. Your coach, as much as he wants to tell you how far you can go, at the same time, you're taking one step at a time, some area title, then going on to other titles. But absolutely, you know, just, you know, go for it. And obviously we'll follow your journey now and, you know, catch up before and after fights and see how you progress.
Yeah, that sounds good. Like you say, just take it step by step.
And is the plan to go full time at some point in terms of, like, you know, sort of like sponsors? Do you have many people on board at the minute, or is that something you're actively looking for?
So I'm looking for sponsors. I've got a couple like friends companies that sponsor me. It would be lovely to go full time for boxing, but at the moment I don't have the level of sponsors. So it's like about getting myself out there, and hopefully the more I fight and the more I win, people start to take notice of me. But at the moment, it's just juggling like full-time work and boxing. I mean, obviously, it would be brilliant if I could get a sponsor where I could work less and train more. It would make life a little bit less stressful. But I mean, I knew what I was entering into when I started, so just have to juggle it for now.
Yeah, I imagine it's that sort of saying, you're just spinning plates constantly, you know, working, boxing, family life, and all the other commitments that you've got. Something I wanted to ask you as well, something like, you know, one of the reasons why we like doing what we do, because, you know, we get to learn a lot about boxers outside of the ring. What do you enjoy doing away from the sport?
When I have the time.
I should have added that in you when you actually get a minute.
Yeah. I have a horse, so I'm into horse riding. So that's quite nice to just sort of relax and go for a ride around the woods.
Not too much at the moment, though, before you fight.
No, I don't have the time for that at the moment. But that's fine. And I compete my mum's horse with her over summer. So that's another plate to spin when like competing season happens. And then I'm not that exciting. Like I'm a bit of an old woman. Like I like just going out for walks in the countryside with the dog. Yeah, I like doing a bit of artwork from time to time. Get the old paints out and do a bit of painting or a bit of drawing. That's about it, really. Yeah.
What about sort of
pretty boring?
I suppose the thing is, though, with the sport that you do, you know, you've got to have a lot of time just to sort of unwind, a little bit of self-care, because it can be incredibly taxing. What about sort of TV series? I think that over lockdown, I watched everything on Netflix and everything on every platform that was going. Are you watching anything good at the minute?
I don't really have a lot of time to watch TV, but what I'm into at the moment is RuPaul's Drag Race. I like watching that. I put that on while I do like my easy spin and just watch that. What else have I been watching? Oh, I watched Cheer, the cheerleading series on Netflix. Proper like girly things.
I was gonna say, yeah, I won't make a note of that one.
Yeah, probably not things you want to watch, but I really like watching, I guess almost like not trash TV, but it is stuff where I can just put it on and not have to concentrate and get properly into it. I can shut my brain off and just watch it. It's not like a series where you have to really concentrate for the plot twists and things like that.
No, of course. Now, just a couple of more from me. There's so many big fights coming up, male, women, just in you know, boxing in general. You've got Eubank Williams this weekend. You've got Fury coming up in a few months against White, Khan, Brooke. Katy Taylor looks like she's going to be involved in another massive fight as well. For yourself, what fights are you looking forward to?
So the Katy Taylor Amanda Serrano fight, I'm really looking forward to seeing that, because this might be a controversial thing to say, but I don't know if Katy Taylor's going to win it, just because the last few fights I've seen of her, she's not looked her best. Like, she's not been as quick and as aggressive. So it'll be nice to see her fighting like a really strong, tough opponent and see whether she comes out on top. And then I would like to see Clarissa Shields and Savannah Marshall actually get round to doing a fight, rather than the constant chat that's going on once they've both had, because Savannah's just had a fight announced with someone else, once they've done their fights, it'd be nice if they could fight each other. And yeah, I think those two are the two women's fights that I'm looking for. Well, one of them's definitely happening, so I'm looking forward to seeing that, and hopefully the Marshall Shields fight will happen, because I think it'll be interesting to see what will happen there with those two.
And the Khan, Brooke, Williams, Eubank, will you be watching any of those? Have you got much interest in those or predictions?
I might watch them. I don't know if I have. I'm not really that interested in the Khan Brooke fight.
Do you think it's just come too late?
Yeah, I feel like they've had their time a bit, really. But I know there's a lot of animosity for the Eubank Williams fight. So Eubank's cousin's training with the same trainer as Williams or something. I know there's a lot of politics and talk going on, so that might be quite an interesting one to see how that plays out, and whether the emotions get a bit heated during the fight and what the outcome of that is. That'd be quite interesting.
Yeah, I think when you listen to Chris Eubank Jr. talk, he's like cool as a cucumber, but he must be getting incredibly nervous for that, because he's the face of Sky Sports. He's going to Cardiff. It's going to be a hostile environment. Liam Williams seems incredibly pumped up. We had Reece Edwards on yesterday. He's fighting on the undercard, and he trains him, knows him pretty well. And I was asking him about their dislike for each other, and he was saying how real it is. So yeah, when you've got all that, it reminds me, like when you were talking about your first fight, is it going to be a composed performance, or are their emotions going to get the better of them come Saturday night?
Yeah, I agree. I think when it's a genuine dislike for each other, it makes a big difference, because yeah, you can give the appearance of being cool and calm, but underneath no one knows what your head's doing. So yeah, it'll be interesting to see how it plays out.
Underneath one of his big coats he wears.
Yeah, exactly.
But listen, it's been an absolute pleasure getting you on. I know you're a very, very busy lady with everything that we've discussed tonight, so I appreciate you giving us some of your time. If it's okay with you, we'd like to catch up with you after the fight, and again, follow your career.
Yeah, that sounds great.
Perfect.
Hopefully it'll be a better performance and I'll be able to tell you more about my boxing rather than my brawling.
Well, we are currently in the process of I contacted Steve Goodwin. He's your manager, isn't he?
Yeah, he is.
And he said that I just need to go on the website, fill out to get a media pass, and we're here back. So we're in the process of doing that.
Oh, sweet. That'd be really good.
Yeah, that's it. We do obviously all these over Zoom at the moment because we started in lockdown. However, we're looking to get to events that, all being well, we'll catch up with you on the night anyway. But yeah, I'm absolutely really looking forward to it, because again, it's going to be some great fights. But anything you'd like to finish off on? Anything you'd like to add?
I just want to say thank you for inviting me on, really. So obviously it's taken up your evening as well. And yeah, thank you for having me on, and hopefully I'll get to see you on the 12th then. We can have a catch up after the fight. Hopefully it will be good news, not hopefully, it will be good.
2-0.
Yeah, be 2-0 and be good to have a catch up then.
No, and you're very welcome. I know, it's tough. We try and be as flexible as we can. And, for yourself, it was incredibly easy to deal with. So I appreciate that. And we'll catch up with you soon.
Yep, brilliant. Hopefully see you on the 12th.